Welcome to the Monetize Your Ministry podcast.
And you get a chance to interact with them. To me, that's full-time ministry.
Really die happy because tax without Jesus is like a thief. It brings in itself and then it opens.
I want to provide content and things that help change lives, and I simultaneously want to receive a blessing from that.
Now here's your host, Kimon Hines.
All right, welcome to a live episode of the Monetize Your Ministry podcast. I'm your host, Kimon Hines. Super excited to have another episode today. Whoa. Interesting that I'm starting that way when today the topic is about pain. I'm not in pain. I just have this irritating cough. But for a lot of us, we run away from our pain. We don't think about it. We try not to even revisit some of those difficult, painful experiences of life. But what if the key to your business success, the insight into your purpose and your calling is found in your pain? That's what we're talking about today. So if you're watching this live, we're going to ask you to share this podcast episode with someone. If you are watching this even on a replay, go ahead and hit share. You're going to get a lot of value out of this, and maybe it will give you some clarity on what you should be doing, what business idea you should be pursuing, how to even niche down on the work that you're doing, maybe pivot. So this episode is one that I guarantee you're going to get a whole lot out of. Now, our guest today is someone that I have had the opportunity of knowing for the last couple of years. She's a part of our coaching community. She's part of our speaking community, and she has an amazing message, one of resilience, one of perseverance, and one really of that word we talked about, pain, using her pain as a teacher and a guide for what she should be doing with her business and with her calling. So today, without any further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others, Dr. Anikah. Anikah, welcome to this podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much, Kimon, for having me here. I'm super excited to be joining, and hello to everyone. Can't wait to share my journey with you all.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Anikah, some people know you, some people don't know you. And I always like to ask a question. I should have prepared you for this, but I didn't. What's one thing about you people who think they know you would be surprised to learn? What's one thing about you people be surprised to learn?
Okay, one thing about me that some people might know this, but one thing you might be surprised to know about me, I am 5'1". I'm a little short, but I've always wanted to fly planes. I used to want to do medevac with the military. And so they said I was too short to fly planes, but I actually started learning to fly planes. So I somewhat know how to fly planes.
Are you serious? I did not know
I'm
that.
serious.
I knew, and maybe we'll come to this, that you jumped out of one, but I didn't know you kind of know how to fly planes. So this is very interesting. Listen, that's why we have these podcast episodes, that I get to learn something more about people. So folks, if you are watching this even live, I'd love to know where you're watching this from. We want to know what the reach of this podcast episode is. And when we get more into Dr. Anikah's story, I know you'll have some questions. So we want to make sure we try to address those. So Dr. Anikah, how do we even get connected? Because it's interesting. We've known each other for a little while, and now just seeing all of the connections we have with different people. How do we even get connected? You might know the story, the origin story, even better than I do.
I do. So I had a friend who invited me to you all. Well, not you all, but perhaps you were there.
Webinar I was doing. Oh, was it the speaking?
That's not how. Yes, but that's not how we got the way we got connected was you all were doing the speaking challenge in person in my state where I live, and I attended by invitation to watch a couple of my friends speak.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was like, I could see myself doing that. And so I received the link and how to get more information from Pierre. However, when I went to look things up, the first thing I saw instead of the speaking, I don't know how I got rerouted, but I didn't get to that page. I got to your page talking about the 5K in 60 days. Yeah. And you were having a free session which started, I think, a day or two later. I was like, well, okay. So I joined that. And that's actually how I got connected and actually how I started growing my business.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about your We're going to talk about your business growth because I'm super excited about that. But I want to take people back a little bit in your story. So, this episode has talked about my pain showed me what I was supposed to build.
Mm.
And pain is a term and something that you've dealt with for a long time. Just kind of give people a window into when we talk about pain. What does that mean for you?
Yes. So when I think about pain, there's a little bit of emotional like, pain from grief and things like that. I've had experienced tremendous loss, but when I think about pain, the first thing that comes to my mind is my physical pain.
Mhm.
I lived with chronic illness my whole life, as young as I can remember, single digits. Um, and I, it's very hard for me to recall a day, even to date,
Mm.
that I have been pain free, quote unquote, pain free. And my level of pain, what my baseline is, would be 0 for most people, is like a 4. So it's very rare for me to have a pain level less than a 4. A 4 is like I can function. And I use those numbers because that's what people are familiar with. But
Now, what is the source of that pain? Because people probably are listening here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I live with chronic migraine with aura and occipital neuralgia. So to be considered to have chronic migraine, a person would have 15 or more days out of the month where the person has migraine attacks. And so I live with migraine disease, and I have migraine attacks, and at least 15 or more days out of the month I'm experiencing. So anything less than that, whether it's 14 to 2 times a year, a person was considered to have episodic migraine, which is what I had up until about 2014. I would have these migraine attacks that presented in different ways, which was why I was never diagnosed because people were missing it. You know, you think about that head pain, but that's not what I was experiencing all the time. And so that's when I became chronic, was around 2014. And I had migraine attack that did not stop or go away for about a year. And I was diagnosed in 2015.
By the way, there are a couple of people giving you some shout outs here. Dr. Lola Moore Johnson says that she is an entire miracle. Robert Kennedy says knick-knack in the house. All right, y'all, let us know you're watching this. Just shout out Dr.
Hi,
Anikah.
everybody.
So, man, listen, I think most of us are familiar with a headache. And then a lot of us are also familiar with a migraine. But there's a word that you use with aura, and there's another thing you use. Help us to understand. And just what does that feel like in terms of the functioning on a day-to-day basis?
I'm going to steal a moment, and I'm just going to take a moment just for a little bit of education, because one of the things I
You
think
are a doctor
people
after all, so you need to educate us. Yeah.
that people miss is that migraine does not necessarily equal headache, right?
Okay.
Head pain can be a symptom that people can experience with migraine. So I just want to clear that does not mean necessarily head pain. There's people who live with migraine, have a migraine diagnosis, and may never get head pain. But I would say for me, what that looks like, so chronic migraine with aura, the auras are just the like accompanying disturbances. So for me, and it depends on what part of the brain is being affected. For me, it's the majority, because migraine is a bioneurologic condition. And so just like epilepsy and seizures and Alzheimer's, it is neurologic. And so for me, my auras mean that my speech can go. Sometimes I'm aware of it and sometimes I'm not. So sometimes I may sound like a baby saying words and nothing's making sense, but in my head, it makes perfect sense. So I may not be aware. But sometimes I could stutter. And those moments I have a hard time saying things. I can identify that it's happening in those instances. I will get ringing in my ears. My vision will go, which is the hardest one for me of the aura. So then I won't be able to drive, or I can't see, or things will be very blurry. I might see double of things. Sometimes I get I can see a flash of light across my eye that may not be there. Sometimes I'll see things that I used to think I was hallucinating. I was not. I might see things and not realize oh, that's my aura that's happening. If you can imagine looking inside, if you are familiar with a kaleidoscope, Sometimes that's what I can visually see. Things like that. Let's see, my sense of smell. So this is funny. Sometimes I smell things that aren't there, and it took a long time to realize that that's part of the aura. I'm grateful because I typically will smell barbecue chicken. I do not eat chicken, but I smell barbecue chicken. I have friends who smell sewage, so some people smell maple syrup. So I am great. I'll take the barbecue chicken. Let's see, my dexterity. So sometimes I can be holding something and lose control of those things. Things will drop unexpectedly. So for me, it's about all of my senses can be impacted by that, those auras. And I just named a few. There's many more. And then occipital neuralgia is, I'm grateful because that secondary diagnosis, which came several years later after my migraine diagnosis, is what actually allowed me to transform how we treated the migraine. So this is back here is the occipital region of the brain, and that neuralgia just talks about the nerves that are affected there. So for me, like leaning my head back against something, I would trigger some severe head pain for me, or laying down on my back would trigger. I always wake up every single morning having to take something because not realizing that I had occipital neuralgia. So once we started treating that, I saw a significant improvement in my migraine. So that's some of the term. That's what those terms mean with aura and occipital neuralgia.
Well, two things, right? I definitely agree with Dr. Lola Moore Johnston that you're an entire miracle. And two, you just gave us a health class right there. Because, you throw out terms, but you don't know. So thank you for that education. Now, this is all going to connect. So those of you who are coming on here, this episode, you want to lock in here because we're talking about my pain showed me what I was supposed to build. Now, you are Dr. Anikah. I'm going to put your title up here just so that people see. Dr. Anikah, right? Dr. Anikah. So tell us, in terms of education, just give us briefly bachelor's, master's. Just tell us my bachelor's in this, my master's in this, my doctorate, so we understand your educational journey.
Bachelor's is in biology, chemistry, and my master's is actually two. One is in environmental health, and the second is epidemiology and biostatistics. And my doctorate is in epidemiology.
Right.
I have a doctor of public health degree in epidemiology.
Listen, this doctor, so two masters, a doctor. Listen, come on now, y'all celebrate. So what we talked about even before we started is what even made you pursue a career in biology and epidemiology. What led you there? And I think some of you who are watching this, you kind of know where we're going already. What made you interested in that?
Yes. So it's really my chronic illness. What I was constantly in the hospital, again, not knowing that this is all migraine. I say because of migraine, but that's because I learned once I was diagnosed that everything I was experiencing was migraine. So I grew up in the hospital, basically. I would say that vomiting, diarrhea, GI problems constantly, and I go to the hospital for that. I would have nosebleeds constantly going to the hospital for that. All of these things, like constantly no one putting the pieces together that these isolated things are all the same. Fainting, I've had my heart, I've been hooked up to so many machines thinking, oh, my heart, low blood sugar, all of this, and all of these things, migraine. And so I spent so much time that I said, you know what? There is not one thing on this earth that I have ever wanted to do except be in medicine, in healthcare. And that is why I went into the field. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I always loved the brain. I was fascinated with the brain. I said, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon, and I love kids. If anybody knows me, I love the kids. And I was like, I'm going to be a pediatric surgeon. I just wanted to help people like me, not knowing that years later, I was going to be a neuro patient. I have my own neurologist, I have my own neurosurgeon, and did not know. But that was exactly why I said I want to help people like me. And I didn't have answers. I just thought I had all these complications, all these issues. People called me sickly And I was like, I just don't want anybody else to experience that. So I want to be the one to help people and be in the white coat and solve their medical challenges, even though at the time mine weren't solved.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. So somebody just gave you a shout out. They said the doc is brilliant. This we know. Yes. And I appreciate, this is what I appreciate, Dr. Anikah. And y'all can agree with this. You are talking about some very complex medical terms, but I could understand it. Like me, who I'm not good at biology. That was not my class. But you're saying this stuff in a way that we could understand, which is definitely a gift that you have. I want you to know that. But you're telling us, right? And this is what I want us to hear. Your painful experience, your health challenges, the unsolved things that you were going through made you say, I don't want others to go through this. So I'm going to go into a field of study that will allow me to help others who are experiencing what I'm experiencing. Now, this is going to get really interesting. So those of you watching this, buckle up your seats. You're going to be, so you went through and you talked about bachelor's, 2 masters, doctorate. We jokingly will say about people like you got more degrees than a thermometer. Right?
That's true.
Now, with those degrees, this is the hidden thing we don't like talking about. You got all of them for free, of course, right?
Not at all.
Not at all. So
I wish that you say the brilliance thing. I wish. Now I got some funding, definitely did. But no.
So how did you? How besides having a rich uncle, how did you fund your college education?
You know, I have a rich uncle. I just have never met or heard of the uncle. But he's out there somewhere.
And we need him to come to the front of the stage, right? Yeah.
But student loans. Student loans.
So wait, for what level? For bachelor's?
For bachelor's, master's, and my doctorate.
Woo, I felt that. Any other people you feel the pain of student loans that they're still out there? Just put me in the comments. We just want to find the people who are feeling that pain right now. So student loans, and you've told me this before about those student loans. Talk to us about, just give us a understanding of what we're talking about with these student loans.
I don't want to be negligent and discredit the support that my family did give as well. So they did contribute financially to my education. So I do want to point that out, but largely student loans. So this is a vulnerable moment. I know I'm live. I know the internet is going to see this, but just for people to understand my pain, I purchased a home in 2023. And you might think, I have to say this because if I don't say this, you might assume the kind of area, I may live in, but I love my home. It's a very beautiful neighborhood. I like it. And I will just say it's 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, adult 2.5. And what I paid for my home, like what I purchased my home for, was less than what I owed in student loans at the time. Even still, so if I could take all that money,
what you owe in the house, like
what I bought it for, yes,
is the student loans is higher than that. Come on, y'all. Y'all
what
I hope you're hearing this.
Is higher than that.
When you let Uncle, okay,
it is pain. It is painful. It is painful.
Yeah.
And I would just say this, Kimon. The painful part is not that I paid for my education. The painful part is I didn't have to, and I didn't know that I didn't have to.
Okay.
That's the painful part.
Okay. Like, you know what? Before you tell us the next thing, I'm going to play a video, and this is going to give you all a kind of indication of what Anikah's message, what we're going to go to next on this. And later on, we're going to share with you something that she's doing that I think all of us, if you know a student, if you have a student in school, if you are a student in school, you're going to want to hang around for this. But Anikah, you just mentioned something. One of the painful parts is you said, I didn't have to pay all of that. So I'm going to play this video. Y'all check this out. This is Anikah and her family, okay?
So I've discovered something heartbreaking, and I seriously need you all to listen up. There are billions in scholarship dollars going unclaimed every year. And meanwhile, I'm in this beautiful home that costs less than what I owe in student loans. The pain of that crushing debt did not have to be my reality. And it definitely does not have to be yours. And that's why I've turned my pain into my passion by helping students secure thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding so they can obtain their degrees debt-free. Because here's the truth. When it comes to scholarships, people aren't being lazy. They're just lost, like I was. And that's why I started Ashayori Academy, to empower families to find their way by turning this overwhelming scholarship process into a strategic roadmap that leads to debt-free education and financial freedom. So if that's you, come with me right now, like right now, so you can have your scholarship success coaching session with me and get your debt-free degree. Let's go.
So Anikah, you're a triplet. What is it? You're a triplet. Are you on mute? Let me see something. Make sure I can hear you. All right, say something. Oops, I just lost your sound. I didn't. Okay, can you hear me? Interestingly, I can't hear you just yet. I can't hear you. No. So do this real quick. Let's come back in. Sometimes I just fixes it. But y'all, while Dr. Anikah is, let me see. While Dr. Anikah we're figuring out the sound, one of the things that we caught in that video is your pain. You said you've turned it into your purpose. So because you had to pay all of this get all the student loans, and then you found out later on that you did not have to, now it's turned into your passion to help others. So when Dr. Anikah comes back, I want to ask her this question. I want to find out, how did you get the realization that you did not have to? When did you get that wake-up call? Like, wait, I have all these student loans. That's how I funded my education, but I didn't have to get them. So here she is, Dr. Anikah. Here we go.
Mhm. What about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Funny thing is, I can't see you, but maybe others can. So if you're watching, just let me know if you can see Dr. Anikah, because weirdly enough, I can't see her on my screen on the side here. So Dr. Anikah, we're going to keep going. I'll just hope that it's just my screen that's messed up, and we'll just keep going. But what I wanted to ask you is, when did you find out that, okay, you came out of school, you got the bachelor's, the 2 masters, the doctoral degree. When did you find out, wait a minute, I didn't have to pay all of this?
Mm-hmm.
When did you find that out?
I was in a session with other in my at my job and I was in a session and people were standing up. I'm just gonna say not people who look like me, but people who were standing up and were talking about how they got funding and how this agency paid for them, and they didn't have student loans and now they have a job and all these things. And I was like, well, how did all these people do that? Like, wait a minute. And so I went home. I went home and I just started researching, and I was like, just trying to figure out what was out there. And it took me a long time because, again, I didn't know how to really search these opportunities out, but I would just write down the things that people were saying, what their programs and things. And I went and looked those up. And then I started seeing more and more, then I would follow those organizations and then they would post things and then all of this stuff. And I started seeing over the course of a year, all these opportunities that somehow no one ever told me about, somehow no guidance counselor, somehow no one seemed to have the insight to share with me as a student that these opportunities were available. And I think too, I will just say this, a lot of times there's an assumption that people know, that people are exposed to these things. And I was not exposed. I did not know. And I just thought student loans were the norm. That's how people pay to go to school. Wow. That's what I was familiar with the people who went to school in my family. I did not have anyone, still don't have anyone who has a terminal degree except my younger sister. So I was the first one at the time. So it's just not that exposure. You just assume that people know, and I didn't know. So that's how I found out. And then I started researching from that point on.
Yeah. Athena Shack says, so creative. I love it. You love the video. Listen, I definitely love the triplets that you had there. Now, what's interesting, and this is why I'm telling you, y'all need to share this episode with someone, because this is what I think for us as a community, many times we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. And it takes someone to go through a painful experience and to almost repurpose that pain to say, you know what, I went through this pain. I want to spend my life. I want to pursue something that will help others to not experience that pain. And so I want to give you kudos for that. There's a story you told me once that I want you to share of the first person you helped with this. And then we're going to talk to you. I want you to hang out. You, Dr. Anikah, has an amazing opportunity for all of us to be able to learn about the scholarship world, to find funding. And we want to tell you about this just a little bit. But I want you to tell us about the first person you helped when you
Yes.
started to get this information.
So I would say I started getting the information around 2017-ish
Okay.
timeframe, a little bit later, maybe 2018. I would say in 2019. Just throw it out there. I'm an extrovert. I will talk to anybody. So I was in a Smoothie King restaurant, and there were largely young people working there. But this person, the young man, was helping me with, preparing my smoothie. And while he put my order in, etc., and no one else was really in there. So I just started talking to him. I was like, oh, are you still in high school? This was no intent to do anything. I just was talking to the young man. And so he was telling me, yes. And I was like, oh, great. He's telling me about himself. And then I said, okay, great. It was maybe around this time in the year. So about graduation. And I said, well, what schools are you planning to attend? And that's when he told me, oh, I haven't applied yet. And literally I was like, what? Again, exposure. He didn't know. I guess the school he was at hadn't talked about it enough for him, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, whoa, this is really, really late. And so I gave him my number, but I asked him because I did ask his age. He was 17 at the time. So I said, may I have your mom or parents' number? And he provided me that. And I got to my car, took my smoothie, got to the car, and I immediately sent a text message to his mother. And I introduced myself, and I said, could we have a phone call so I could tell you about who I am? I didn't have a business. I didn't have anything. All I knew was this young man.
Story is good.
It was way too late for this young man to have not applied to college. And so I asked her, could I work with her and him? And she's like, oh my goodness, I just feel helpless. I don't even know what to do. Wow, and so he was my first client. I helped him not only apply to school, because you would think it's way too late. And it is late. Most schools are sending out acceptances, but we applied. He not only got in, did not get a full scholarship, but we got him so much funding. And this is not someone who's an A student. Okay. But still we're able to get him some funding to go to school. And that was where I was like, okay, now I got to start helping people.
There is this young man out there who because you go to Smoothie King and you're an extrovert, and here's now, you went through the pain of funding your education, a lot of it with student loans, and the pain of having to go to school, choosing a path of school because of your pain that you had as a child. This young man now, his life is different because he intersects with you. Because of your pain, now you begin helping him. Isn't that, like anybody else's mind is just blown. And listen, as people of faith, we know this is not coincidence, right? Anybody else, your mind is just blown, just let me know in the comments, because I know I'm not the only one. This story is fascinating. By the way, have you kept in touch with him?
Recently, I think they changed their contact. So I think we actually they would come to church sometimes, but I did lose track of them.
But what was the last, was he in college the last time you?
I think he was about to graduate college.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So shout out to you, man. I wish you were there at that college graduation. Now, since then, how many people have you helped? Just give us a thing, or just how much money have you gotten for people? Give us a story.
Yes, I would say total with the families. I would have to do some number counting with the number of families, but about $1 million worth of funding for people and several of them full rides. Some of them full rides.
That's not money they have to pay back, right?
No, we're not talking about borrowed money. We're talking about grants and scholarships. Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Frazier said it's not by accident that you were at that Smoothie King. Now,
Mhm.
let me
Mhm.
tell you something. This is some self-disclosure. I just had my son graduated last year. I have two daughters. They're both graduating in May. Come on now.
Mhm.
And we paid most of this student journey, but we had to take out a few loans. Dr. Nika, I
Mhm.
wish I had met you early on some of this, but both of my girls plan to go on to get masters and PhDs and stuff.
Mhm.
Does the stuff you teach, does it work for them? Asking for a friend.
Absolutely, friends. Like, tell your friend. Yes, it does. Now, I will just say this, the only groups that I do not work with, and I'll say yet, just because I don't have that expertise, just being fully transparent. I don't currently work with students going in high school, like in academy or paid high school programs.
Oh, I
And
got
I
you.
Yes, like if you're in an academy and fun, people, just to be clear about that, when I say high school, I mean high schoolers preparing to go to college so that you can be a freshman. That's fine. Sophomore, junior, senior, all the way up. And then post-secondary, so graduate school, doctoral degrees,
Okay.
certificates. Um, yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't even have to be a
So
4-year college. Yes.
so you can get money from finishing high school to your post high school degree, post high school plans, post high school plan.
Correct.
All
Correct.
right.
Unless you are not a US citizen, that's the other group I
Okay.
don't currently work with right now, but yet. So,
Yeah. Gamal, you need to lean into this conversation. You got some college students. I'm calling you out, Gamal. So, Dr. Anikah, one of the reasons we're on here is that you've been working with families. You mentioned over $1 million of funding. You told us that young man's story. And really, for those of you if you're just coming on, this is a story of pain showing you what you were supposed to build. And I think for many of us, we're thinking about what business should I start? And sometimes we ignore or overlook the places of our pain. And that is a place for you to start. We say this in our challenge and in our coaching. You are perfectly designed to help the former version of yourself. And that's
yeah.
what you are doing. You are helping
Mhm.
the former version of yourself. Somebody says money bags. We need to talk. Yeah, we need. So tell us. So this
Mhm,
weekend you're
mhm,
doing something special for
mhm.
families, and I am over the moon excited. So I'm going to put up
Me
a
too.
graphic, and you're going to tell us what this event is all about.
Yes, I am so excited. I am hosting the How to Get Free Money for College Summit. And again, college does not just mean undergrad. If you are in a graduate program too, How to Get Free Money for College Summit. And let me tell you, these people who are presenting here, you
Yeah,
do
you got it.
not want to miss this.
Hold on, let me put this up real
Yes.
quick. Before you
Mhm.
do that, those of you who are on here, I need somebody to type this in the comments, roadtoscholarships.com. Just type in the comments, roadtoscholarships.com. I put it on the
Mhm.
screen, but I need you to type it in the comments so someone can just click on that link because I want you to save them some time. Roadtoscholarships.com. That's the link right there. Type it in the comments for us. But I want you to tell us, Dr. Anikah, about some of these people that are on here. I'll put the graphic up again. You don't have to tell about
See,
all. You could ignore that
but
guy at the bottom right, but
I,
just tell us about a couple of them.
all
Why
right,
we
I
need to sign up and show up for
listen,
this.
listen, listen. I don't follow instructions very well, so I'm going to tell you about the people. So, listen, we have someone from the National Civil Rights Museum who is going to talk
The
to you about
president.
the president talking to us about how to write winning applications. Okay. We have a financial aid expert, someone who managed and led financial aid at the university level, talking about financial aid and FAFSA. Okay. Busting some of those myths. We have somebody here who is going to talk about the state of college education, someone who is working at the university level in academia and talking about the state of college funding. And then we have personal testimonies about people who got their education paid for. And listen, their education, their child's education, people who have worked with me directly. You guys, listen, I'm excited. If I were you,
Yeah.
I would be here. And I'm going to tell you, Kimon, you say, or people say you needed me back in the day. I needed me. And so while my story ended up the way it did, I just do not want anyone else's story to end up like mine. So if you do not want to be like me, You need to be here and share this with someone else who you know needs to be here so that
All
their live pain is not going to be the same pain I experienced.
Call. I know if the link is up there, somebody might be listening while they're driving.
Yes,
Call out the
yes,
link for them to be able to register and tell us the time and the day and all the
yes.
particulars. Yeah.
Okay. Road to scholarships with an S on the end.com. Road to scholarships.com. And this will be this Sunday, April 26th, and it is virtual. Okay. It is
Which means
virtual.
it means you don't have to leave your house. Somebody,
Now,
right?
listen,
It's
you
on
can be,
Zoom. You can.
that's
you
right.
can- Yep. So roadtoscholarships.com. Athena says registered. All right.
Oh, yes, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And listen, if you do not know me, for those who know me, I am punctual. Okay. We're starting at 2 o'clock. So make sure you are there. And please, the best gift you can give somebody is the gift of freedom, the gift of a testimonial. So do not keep this good news to yourself.
Yeah.
Please share it.
Absolutely. Look, I need everybody to put in the comments if you are a parent of a child getting ready to finish high school or in college, like just put parent in the comments. I want to just see the parents, right? If you are a student, maybe you're watching this, put student, right? And student, as you mentioned, right? If I am going on to get my master's or my PhD and I'm at my grown age like me, is that still for me?
Listen, yes, it is for you.
Okay, so put student.
It's,
All right.
it's for you. It's
And
for you.
if you know someone, right? Like I don't have the child and I'm not the student, but I know a friend. Put friend in the comments. We want, because I think everyone, Dr. Anikah, can connect with this. I see parent coming here. I think everyone needs this. And student, right? Everyone needs this. Either I'm a parent, I'm a student, or I'm a friend of someone who I know. So at the least I need to share this with someone else, right? That's right, Athena. You got a college student, and you got a few more coming to college. So, Dr. Anikah, we talked about your pain. Here it is. Your physical pain made you decide I'm going to go into this field of health, the bio field. But then all of these degrees and the pain of that and the student loans. Now you figured out, you learned something. And by the way, folks, we know as a people sometimes we don't always get the news. And so you found out the news. And now what we commend you for is you came back to tell others. And you've been helping people in your program. You've been working with students. You tell us the young man's story, over $1 million of student scholarships that you've gotten.
Scholarships, not loan. Scholarships, yes.
Right?
Yes.
There is someone right now, and I want you to just look in this camera and I'm going to spotlight you. They are thinking about this summit that's coming up. Road to scholarships.com is the link. And maybe they're thinking, I tried applying before. We fill out applications before. We did this before. It didn't work for us. They're skeptical. Maybe they think they make too much money. Maybe they think their child doesn't have the grades, right? Because talk to that person. I'm going to spotlight you. Tell them why they need to sign up for that event. I want to just have you talk to them, just heart to heart, why they need to sign up. And signing up will not help you if you don't show up. So talk to them, Dr. Anikah.
Right. Okay. Let me just say, I can definitely empathize with how hard it is and how time consuming it is to just even apply. So I can feel that pain of like, I don't want to keep going through this. But I do want to tell you this, that I'm going to go back to my pain. Okay. I'm going to take a minute and go back to my pain, and I'm going to try my best to get through this. We talked about all the physical pain that I go through, and I'm going to tell you, I'm sitting here looking like I got all this energy. I don't. And there's moments where I'm like, I have tried this medication. I've tried this treatment. I've tried. I've told you how long it's been since I lived with this. And one thing I say to myself is, what if the thing that's going to work is the thing I decide I'm not going to try anymore? And I'm in that space even right now, where I had a procedure done a few weeks ago, convinced that it was going to be the thing, only to come to my post-op and they say, we got to do it again. And the pain of that makes me say, I just don't want to do this anymore. I've put myself through so much. I don't know how much more I can take. And I came to say, what if the thing that I need to do again is the thing that's going to work? And that's what I'm going to tell you. I had to tell myself that, and I'm going to do it. It's next week, Friday. But I don't want that to be you. Don't let the pain of applying and maybe not getting responses, applying and thinking that, it wasn't enough, or not knowing how to write an application, or all these things that you've tried. Maybe you think that your grades aren't good enough. Maybe you think that, but don't let this be the thing that could work, but you say, I don't want to try it. So I'm going to do the thing that I don't want to do because it's a lot. So I'm committing to doing the thing for my physical health that could be the thing that works. And I'm going to ask you, do the thing, come join me on Sunday, because this could be the thing that works, and this could be the transformation that you're looking for. And I don't want you to miss out on it. So I'm agreeing to not miss out, and I want you to agree to not miss out.
I love it. Listen, y'all, Deetra Huff Smith says registered, and Athena says registered. So if you registered, go ahead and just put that in the comments. Dr. Anikah, thank you so much. I think on behalf of all of us, the fact that you have turned your pain, I didn't want to use a cliche, right? But you've turned your pain into a calling, a business, helping others, helping the former version of yourself. I want to say on behalf of everyone watching this and those who will show up to the summit, thank you. Thank you for doing this, because you don't have to. You don't have to, but thank you. And I think this is what we really talk about here in this, that monetizing ministry is all about finding the thing that you're best at and helping others so you can increase your income and your impact. So one more time, here is the graphic. I want to show it to you. He has an amazing speakers, presenters, Dr. Russell Wigington, Joyce Tucker, Dr. Denzel Street, Dr. Tyron Douglas, the Leslie family, and I'm going to just give myself a doctorate, Dr. Kimon Hines, on there. And this coming Sunday, you want to be on there, and hosted by Dr. Anikah. Delroy A. Brooks says registered. So looking forward to seeing you all on there. I'm going to put the banner up one more again, roadtoscholarships.com. If you're a student, register. If you're a parent, register. If you're a friend, register. If you've ever seen a student walk by your house, register. You need that information. And those of you, go to the link, roadtoscholarships.com. Sign up, put it on your calendar, and we will see you on Sunday. Thank you so much, Dr. Anikah.
Thank you.
Take what you learned here. Go increase your income and your impact.
Thank you for listening to the Monetize Your Ministry podcast with Kimon Hines. For more information, visit our website at www.monetizeyourministrypodcast.com. That's www.monetizeyourministrypodcast.com. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please share this episode with someone who needs it. Let's increase our income and impact.